And good morning. Welcome into the Cam Rogers Show on Chat Sports Facebook Live. I am Cam Rogers. Check me out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Don't worry, it's the same show, but it's a fresh new look, brand new graphics. We're very excited here on this Wednesday morning, March 28th, 2018. We thank you for starting your morning with us, and a special shout out to Tyler in the comments section. We literally just started the broadcast. He's already commenting. Gotta love that dedication to the Cam Rogers Show here today. I've got you covered for the next hour. Here's a rundown of the program. We'll start off with the latest NFL headlines, so I'll get you set here on your Wednesday with what to expect across the National Football League. A little Des Bryant update, Odell Beckham Jr. as well. Will Nick Foles get traded? I'll talk about that. So a lot to get to with the headlines. I got my top 10 NFL mock draft to get to. Post-free agency edition, and don't you worry, I'll do all 32 teams next month before the draft. Harris Rubenstein joining me later in the program. We're a little look ahead to the MLB season. He's got his season predictions, so find out where your favorite team finishes off. And then a final word on why the LA Rams will win the NFC. I'll explain at the end of the program. All right, folks, let's start things off with your headlines, and we have a rule change with the catch. So suffice it to say that Des Bryant, Jesse James, and Calvin Johnson all caught it. There, done. We did it. So the change. The NFL owners have unanimously approved a new simplified catch rule consisting of the following. There's the rundown. Control of the ball, 2 feet down or a body part down. And then a football move such as a third step or maybe outstretching for the goal line. So this tells me, going by the 32-0 vote, that the NFL owners out there are sick and tired of hearing about, was it a catch, it wasn't a catch, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. All of the what-ifs, the hypotheticals out there, they want to do without it. So a simplified catch rule is now a thing. The, quote, surviving the ground element of the catch process is no longer happening. So Calvin Johnson, Des Bryant, Jesse James, you all can celebrate in that one. And for Cowboys fans, Lions fans, and Steelers fans everywhere, I'm sure you are burying your head somewhere in shame because, well, maybe things could have been different if the catch rule was different back then. So there you go, a new NFL rule. There are other NFL rule changes as well, but obviously that is the most significant. That's the rule change that caught the most headlines yesterday because, of course, we are going through NFL owners' meetings in Orlando, Florida. They're wrapping up this week. All right, so let's get to the next headline here. What's the latest on Odell Beckham Jr.? So Dave Gettleman spoke to reporters yesterday saying we can't quit on talent, but it's interesting because Gettleman refused to answer any specific Odell Beckham Jr. questions, and obviously even when he said that he wasn't going to answer any questions about Odell, he still got questions about Odell Beckham Jr. You know, it's hilarious. Dave Gettleman actually had a 2-minute prepared statement on addressing the Odell Beckham Jr. situation. Here's a little piece of it.
It's my responsibility to create the atmosphere that allows players to play and coaches to coach. That's part of my job, and I really believe that. And the other thing I want you to understand, I'm not going to respond to hypotheticals. I'm telling you right now. So you're sitting there saying, you know, what's Dave doing? What's he talking about? In the past 2 days, there have been 2 reports about Odell, okay? They've been floated that he won't take the field without an extension, and the Rams are interested in trading for him. I understand the reports. People are going to print stuff. I get it. But I want you to understand this. Neither Odell nor his agent have contacted us regarding either report. So to be clear, I'm not going to respond to questions about either report. And as I stated earlier, every decision I make is going to be in the best interest of the New York Football Giants.
Poor Dave Gettleman. He just wants to answer questions about play on the football field. Meanwhile, reporters are latching onto all of this media hype, if you will, with Odell Beckham Jr. and perhaps him being on the trade block. Now, Gettleman at first was very ambiguous about Odell perhaps being on the trade block, saying that no player on the Giants roster is untouchable. So maybe that indicates that Odell Beckham Jr. could be traded. But he eventually said that Odell Beckham Jr. is not being shopped. He's not on the trade block. But that does not mean the Giants won't listen to offers. So with that, I know people are already ahead of the game here in answering this question. Will the Giants trade Odell Beckham Jr.? I posted a video on this on YouTube recently, and we're getting some polarizing opinions on this. Some Giants fans are like, get him out of here. We're done with him. He's a diva and all that. Other Giants fans out there are saying, we want him. He's a superstar. Look at our offense without him because you saw it a year ago. We need him on that team. So really an interesting situation here. And ESPN talked to Pat Shurmur, the new head coach there for the Giants. And Shurmur didn't really give a ringing endorsement of Odell Beckham Jr. I don't know if you guys saw this soundbite, but yesterday Pat Shurmur, you know what he said? Quote, he's on our team right now. I mean, that's not what you really want to hear from your head coach. That's kind of like what Hugh Jackson said about Brock Osweiler when he was on the Cleveland Browns. So in that vein, kind of a weird situation. What's going to happen? If you were to ask me, I don't think the Giants are going to trade Odell Beckham Jr. I think it would be pure insanity if they were to do so. The Giants have to figure out a way to please Odell in terms of essentially getting that extension done. And you see the rolling comments at the bottom of your screen. Tyler chiming in, no, they won't trade him. We will regret it. And if you guys continue to comment, we'll show you at the bottom of the screen here on the Cam Rogers Show. But yeah, I mean, Odell has been at the center of trade talks about a report that surfaced that he'd sit out the entire 2018 season if he didn't get that extension. All right, and then another report came out that the LA Rams, because why not? The Rams have been doing literally everything in free agency, are interested in the services of Odell Beckham Jr., and that kind of makes sense considering Sammy Watkins moved on to the Kansas City Chiefs. So the trade talks are heating up. Dave Gettleman is playing damage control. He's preparing these written statements, refusing to answer specific questions about Odell. But one thing we do know, if you want to take Gettleman's word, Odell and the Odell Beckham Jr. camp, if you will, his agents, his support system, etc., have not reached out to Gettleman and the New York Giants leadership for a trade. But that really doesn't answer the question, folks, because I think if there is a trade that's going to happen, it's not going to be because Odell wants it. It's because Dave Gettleman or somebody in the Giants leadership wants it, maybe co-owner John Mara. I don't know. But if you have this bad PR that's going on with Beckham where he is saying that he will sit out 2018, maybe the Giants just say, all right, see ya. Because Odell wants to be a Giant, but maybe the Giants don't want Odell to remain on the squad. So really an interesting situation. Matt chiming into the comments section. We got Joe as well. So guys, keep hitting me up. We do appreciate when you are part of the program. Plenty of NFL headlines to get to. Let's go to the Raiders and the latest there. So John Gruden thinks Colin Kaepernick is going to get signed soon. So we're getting all of these GM quotes and head coach quotes because of the NFL owners meetings like I talked about at the top of the show. So Gruden said the following to the media. Quote, he got beat out by Blaine Gabbert to start the 2016 season. I think that says something, but I am surprised he's not in camp with somebody. He probably will be soon. So John Gruden weighing in on the Colin Kaepernick situation here. Kaepernick, of course, last played in the NFL in 2016, completing 59.2% of his passes, about 2,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions here. Colin Kaepernick has been the surface of many discussions of late because of the ongoing collusion case against the National Football League, as well as the recent deposition with the Texans owner, Bob McNair, and Kaepernick was actually present for that. We also saw a leaked video of Colin Kaepernick throwing in Houston. I believe that was about a week and a half ago. Looked pretty good doing so. And in an NFL, guys, where Scott Tolzien, Tom Savage, Brandon Weeden are employed on NFL rosters, some of them starting a year ago, it's not beyond, the fathom of imagination here that Colin Kaepernick is not in the NFL because of his protests during the national anthem and all of the political views that have surfaced from him via the NFL platform. So with that, will Colin Kaepernick be on an NFL roster in 2018? Hit me up in the comments section on Facebook Live as well as YouTube when I throw up this video there. It's really an interesting situation. So maybe Gruden is hinting at bringing in Colin Kaepernick and joining the Oakland Raiders. John Gruden is an outsider. Let's face it. He is just getting back into the coaching fold. I think we could see some really unconventional moves from John Gruden going forward. We've seen a little bit of it here, bringing in Doug Martin, a guy that really looked bad a year ago. We could see some new kind of trends here, thanks to John Gruden coming back into the coaching fold here, formerly a member of the media and a broadcaster. So I think that's just the nature, number one, of being out of the NFL for so long, and John Gruden still has to get back into the swing of things. But on the other hand, I do believe he wants to kind of be that outsider. He wants to kind of try new things here. So Derek Carr currently has Connor Cook and E.J. Manuel backing up Carr there. So that really doesn't inspire confidence as a coach, I would assume. I think Colin Kaepernick is better than Connor Cook and E.J. Manuel. Just me. So Gruden did say, I think there's a lot of intrigue there about Colin Kaepernick. The only thing is this whole ongoing collusion case. It could be a bad look for Kaepernick and his hopes to get back in the National Football League. We'll talk about another comeback by one Johnny Manziel. But in terms of Colin Kaepernick, it's an uphill battle, but I would not be surprised to see him finally get a chance in 2018, whether it's in May during OTAs or July during training camp. So it's an interesting kind of situation to monitor here. John Gruden, though, speaking somewhat positively about Kaepernick. So we'll see what happens going forward. Definitely hit me up in the comments section. Let me know what you think about Colin Kaepernick coming back into the NFL. Do you want him in the NFL? Maybe you want him in the CFL. Maybe you want him to do something else. Certainly hit me up there. All right, we got a lot of Cowboys fans in the comments section. I'm sure you guys are looking for some news regarding them. So here's the deal. Jerry Jones and Dez Bryant are going to meet, and they're going to talk about money. So this coming from Pro Football Talk. Jones spoke with reporters, though, recently, said he'll be chatting with Dez Bryant soon, particularly about his salary. So there you see Dez Bryant as a $16.5 million cap number in 2018. Jerry Jones said the meeting will be, quote, straightforward in hopes of Bryant lessening his salary and his cap number in 2018. Dez Bryant is owed $12.5 million this coming season. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys recently added Deontay Thompson and Allen Hurns. I don't think that's coincidental to this impending meeting between Jerry and Dez. So perhaps Hurns and Deontay are kind of these insurance receivers here in case something goes absolute awry during this meeting where Dez Bryant says, I'm not taking a pay cut, and if you really want to kind of alleviate some of the financials with me, release me. And if that happens, then the Cowboys, I guess, can lean on Deontay Thompson and Allen Hurns. Doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence, I don't think, if you're a Cowboys fan out there. I know Allen Hurns is a quality wide receiver, but Deontay Thompson is just okay. I think he has high-end wide receiver 3 potential. That's all, really. So this meeting is pretty significant. Now, my question for you guys watching the Cam Rogers Show right now, who's going to budge? Will it be Dez? Will it be Jerry? Which side ends up winning? So the goal is, of course, to lessen the financial burden. And what this really comes down to for me, and I think for a lot of Cowboys fans out there, return on investment. And there has been quite a drought of 100-yard receiving games for Dez Bryant. All right? Do you want to pay this guy $12.5 million in 2018 when he can't eclipse 100 yards receiving? So, in essence, the Dez Bryant price tag doesn't fit the production on the field. One of the more polarizing topics for Cowboys fans out there. Should the Cowboys cut Dez Bryant? Give me a heart in the reaction poll for yes. Give me a like for no. I have been somebody who has said many times that I think the Cowboys are probably better off moving on from the Dez Bryant era. I know it might not make the most financial sense because there is some dead money there if the Cowboys do cut Dez Bryant. But let's say this meeting between Jerry and Dez just goes awful and beyond repair. I don't think it's going to come to that, but we can play hypothetical here and think of the scenario where things just don't work out between Cowboys leadership and Dez Bryant. You know, where Dez values himself still at that $12.5 million number. Meanwhile, Jerry Jones has to be like, yeah, Dez, sorry, look at your numbers from a year ago. We don't think so. So something to monitor there, folks. Dez Bryant and Jerry Jones are meeting, and we'll see what comes about it, but certainly something that we'll be watching here on the Cam Rogers Show. Already getting the comments. Dominique says Dez is not the problem. Scott saying cut him. Like I said, polarizing topic. Keep hitting me up in the comments section. And, of course, we'll be showing them on the show. You'll see them at the bottom of your screen. All right, let's get to the next headline here. We'll stay in the NFC East. Nick Foles is staying with the Eagles. Doug Peterson, head coach, told ESPN, quote, "It's safe to say Nick Foles will be on the Eagles roster in 2018. This amid trade rumors for the backup quarterback who won Super Bowl 52 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Had been reported that teams are interested in him. Also has been reported that, well, the Eagles weren't even offered a first-round pick for Nick Foles. So with that, the Eagles are like, all right, see ya. We're keeping our guy. And with Carson Wentz coming back from injury, I understand he is ahead of schedule here. You still want Nick Foles as your insurance kind of quarterback. And it kind of sounds weird to say, but Nick Foles is in the elite category of backup quarterbacks. He is. Tell me a better backup quarterback in the NFL right now than Nick Foles. I challenge you. That's your homework on the Cam Rogers Show. Because he got it done for the Eagles last year in Super Bowl 52. I know a lot had to do with the great coaching there in Philadelphia. John DeFilippo has done a fantastic job now over with the Minnesota Vikings, and I understand that. The coaching staff did its job. But Nick Foles really improved. You look at towards the end of the season, he didn't look very good. In the playoffs, certainly looked better. So Foles is going to stay with the Philadelphia Eagles. That we know, at least according to Doug Peterson, the head coach there. We'll see if anything changes. I doubt it will. So Foles going to stay there and back up Carson Wentz. Some good news there for Foles. Some bad news here for another quarterback. Trayvon Boykin has been released by the Seattle Seahawks. This immediately after reports surfaced of Boykin choking, assaulting, and breaking the jaw of his girlfriend, Shabrika Bailey. So, really bad look. This is what Bailey told WFAA, quote, "So he goes into a choke. I remember him choking me, and I'm telling him to calm down, trying to calm him down, and I just couldn't, and I blacked out. I just couldn't calm him down at all." Boykin then released a statement, and it's a screenshot of the Notes app on an iPhone, by the way. Not the most professional statement look in the world, but I digress. He says, quote, "This woman has lied about me and cost me my job. This person has fabricated a story, and I am suffering the consequences." Boykin spent 2017 on the practice squad for the Seattle Seahawks. Detectives are investigating this situation, but what we do know is Seattle wants nothing to do with this story. They immediately released him, and now it's being reported that, hey, Mark Sanchez could reunite with Pete Carroll. So that was a report that came out this morning about a new backup quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. It could be one Mark Sanchez. Of course, Sanchez, formerly of USC there with Pete Carroll back in the day. So there you go. bad look for Boykin. We'll see what happens with the ongoing legal situation, but I would assume this guy probably won't get another chance in the NFL, but I could be wrong. All right, let's go to another quarterback. And some good news here. Johnny Manziel is on the upswing, and hey, he's okay with playing in the CFL if the NFL doesn't work out. Manziel, of course, on the heels of another public display of his quarterback skills because he was at the Texas A&M Pro Day recently. We have the video of that. We'll show you in a matter of seconds here. He did tell NFL Network, though, that he would be willing to go play in the CFL if the NFL did not work out. He recently threw at the University of San Diego's Pro Day in front of NFL scouts as well, 13 of them to be exact. And get this, he's having fun. So he's playing in the spring league in a couple weeks, and he's selling his jersey for like $70. And I think it's only like $20 extra if you want an autograph on that jersey there. So I'm excited to see him in game action. There you see the footage there. Looks pretty darn good, folks. I don't know. Manziel, he's got some zip on him. I like that out route there, right there, at the end of the highlight. That was my favorite throw, actually. That's why I left it in there. So Manziel will compete for the South team in NFL-style games in this spring league, full contact, on April 7th and April 12th. So keep it right here on the Cam Rogers Show on those dates as well. I'll have those highlights to show you guys. But again, I am really excited to watch him play. I personally don't think he will become an NFL starter. I'm pulling for him, I really am, but I don't know if he will get back to that level. But then again, that's why, folks, I'm at the broadcaster desk and he's on the football field throwing a football. So will Johnny Manziel complete the NFL comeback? All right, you're watching on Facebook Live. Hit that heart for yes. Hit that like for no. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, hit me in the comments section with those respective reactions. Again, you guys are a part of the Cam Rogers Show as much as I am, so be sure to hit me up with those reactions, those comments. BJ, Dominique, Matthew, we got Anthony, Omar, everybody in the comments section flowing, giving in their thoughts about all of the stories here today. But Johnny Manziel, the comeback continues. Very exciting story there. All right, sticking with the quarterback theme, a lot of quarterback news here. So Deshaun Watson may be good to go for OTAs. This coming from Bill O'Brien, the head coach of the Houston Texans. Very good news there. So Watson is ahead of schedule. OTAs are set to begin in May. And I think this is really great news for Texans fans, obviously, but great news for football fans in general. Because if you had a chance to watch Deshaun a year ago, in those 7 games, he looked fantastic. So in those 7 games, Watson completed 61.8% of his passes for 1,699 yards, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Also rushed for 269 yards, 2 scores on just 36 rushing attempts. Now, the Texans are on the upswing here. They also brought in some solid pieces in free agency. You look at that defensive side. Aaron Colvin at the slot corner position. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, in the back end there. They re-signed Jonathan Joseph, veteran corner, really knows the system well. Zach Fulton at guard. Added a couple other offensive linemen as well. The offensive line, a big-time key component here for the Texans' success going into 2018 because the offensive line was not very good a year ago. Pass protection struggled. Run blocking was not good. So the Texans are going to have to look to that and protect their franchise quarterback in Deshaun Watson. That is ultra important, especially with him coming back from injury. By the way, the Texans signed a new quarterback. We'll get to that in a couple of headlines. But first, back to the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders have cut one of their third-round draft picks. So from 2015, Clive Wolford, tight end there. He is now a free agent. So the Wolford era in Oakland is over. After 3 years, he has been released. He was due to make $1.9 million this season, played 13 games as a backup in 2017, catching 9 passes for 80 yards. Now, Adam Schefter reported that Wolford will be signed pretty darn quickly, and I don't think that's a surprise considering how shallow the tight end position is. I think Wolford is going to get some good amount of looks here in the open market, so we'll see what happens. I still think there's some good promise for him. He's a guy I liked a lot coming out of the draft. I thought he would mesh well with the Raiders and that system there, but I guess it didn't really work out, and with John Gruden in town, changes are coming. Jared Cook is presumed the lead guy on that depth chart there for the Oakland Raiders. So there you go. Clive Wolford is now on the open market, testing the open waters. All right, back to the Texans here. I mentioned they made a new signing. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Weeden is still employed. There he is, 34 years old. He has signed with the Houston Texans, spent most of 2017 with the Titans. He actually was with the Texans last summer when he was competing with Tom Savage, and Tom Savage beat out Brandon Weeden. And then Tom Savage became a starter for the Houston Texans and absolutely stunk. So, yeah, I guess fool me twice, shame on me. Houston Texans, what are you doing here? That's one of the headlines. There you go. He started 26 NFL games in his career to this point, winning 6 of them. I guess you could say he's insurance for Deshaun Watson, with Deshaun recovering and all, but still, Brandon Weeden, that kind of just makes me shiver a little bit. But we'll see what happens. I'm sure it was just kind of a safety move by the Houston Texans leadership there. But Brandon Weeden found a new home. Staying in the AFC South, by the way. He was with the Tennessee Titans in 2017, at least most of 2017. All right, let's get to some injury news here, and it's an Arizona Cardinal by the name of David Johnson. He is expected to return to the football field for OTAs beginning May 15th. This is great news for one of the league's great running backs, and a guy we didn't see much of in 2017. In fact, we missed 16 weeks worth of him, or I guess almost 16 weeks worth, because he did play in week 1, but it wasn't a lot. So with a new quarterback in town, Sam Bradford, maybe a rookie, we'll see. New head coach in town, Steve Wilks. Having that continuity at the running back position, I think, is important for the Cardinals here, a team that recently cut Adrian Peterson as well. I think when healthy, DJ is a top 3 running back. I mean, he's in that Le'Veon Bell kind of camp. So I like David Johnson a lot, and I am excited to see him perform in 2018. He fractured his wrist, by the way, in 2017. That was the injury there that left him out most of the season. But it looks like he is going to return for OTA, so really good news. And fantasy owners out there, I think David Johnson could be the steal of the first round. You know, I mean, it depends on where all the pundits rank DJ, and I don't think they're going to rank him inside the top 5 coming off that injury. I could be wrong. But I think he could be a really nice steal at the end of that first round of your fantasy draft. So keep that in mind. David Johnson returning to the football field pretty darn soon. We're excited about that. All right, next headline here. Can you believe that there's still an investigation going on into Jameis Winston? Yeah, 6 months and counting, by the way. So this stemming from the allegations from a female Uber driver in Arizona that said Winston groped her. Winston has denied the allegations, as has Eagles cornerback Ronald Darby, who was in that same car there. So, yeah, the NFL has yet to make a decision on this, and Dirk Cutter, and we're talking about this because Dirk Cutter recently made a couple statements on the matter, said that he's growing pretty darn frustrated with this whole process and how it's dragging out. So he told the Tampa Bay Times the following, quote, "I think it was important that we signed Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's another guy we signed back that we haven't talked about. And we have Ryan Griffin coming back healthy. So, you know, very, very hopeful that we won't miss any time with Jameis Winston." Now, Jameis missed some games in 2017 due to that AC joint injury. So we did see a little bit of Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he showed some capable quarterback play. I think he's a fine backup. Certainly a better option than many backup quarterbacks out there in the NFL right now. But the fact that the NFL is going 6 months plus into this investigation is kind of crazy, especially when it seems like he said, she said type ordeal where the NFL might not be able to prove either way who is telling the truth here. So maybe you just kind of suffice it to say, yeah, I guess he's innocent because we couldn't prove him guilty. I don't know. But yeah, Jameis Winston, if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, he's still in purgatory, if you will, about potentially getting a suspension from the National Football League. But we shall see what happens there. All right, next headline. New Orleans Saints fans, you got a tight end visiting you. His name's Ben Watson. So the Saints missed out on Jimmy Graham. sad. He goes on to the Green Bay Packers. So perhaps Ben Watson's up next. This according to Field Yates of ESPN. Ben Watson has played in the league for 14 seasons, a fantastic veteran, great character guy too, really a fantastic person. And still productive on the football field. Spent the last season with my Baltimore Ravens, playing in 12 games, making 61 catches, 522 yards, a viable option for Joe Flacco a year ago. And Ben Watson also played with the Saints back from 2013 to 2015. The Saints currently have Josh Hill and Coby Fleener on their roster, so we'll see if Ben Watson can win over the Saints. But there you go, a recent visit there. And then the Cleveland Browns. There's a lot of turnover going on with them at the quarterback position. You got Tyrod Taylor coming on in. You have Drew Stanton, now a member of the Cleveland Browns at quarterback as well. We presume that Sam Darnold will be on the roster too. So Cody Kessler is now on the trade block, and Kessler started 8 games as a rookie there, and this is not surprising at all because there's just no need to have this guy on the roster, especially when you have 3 new faces coming in onto the quarterback depth chart for the Cleveland Browns. Kind of makes sense to me. So Kessler saw a good amount of reps as a rookie, really didn't work out. For his career, has completed 63.8% of his passes with 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So maybe this could be a slowish market here. I don't know how much the Cleveland Browns would actually get for Cody Kessler. I would think just like a late round pick or something like that, maybe a 6th rounder. But I'm sure if nothing happens in the trade market, Cody Kessler is going to get cut because the Browns are just bringing in too many quarterbacks. They can't keep Kessler on that roster there. All right, folks, those are your latest NFL headlines. We thank you for tuning in to the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. Don't you worry, I'm going through my top 10 NFL mock draft for post-free agency. So I'm going to go 1 all the way down to 10 here, starting off with, of course, the Cleveland Browns. But first, follow me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Of course, we appreciate the support here on Chat Sports. Let's do it. Mock draft time. Check it in at number 1 overall, the Cleveland Browns. And they will be selecting, and I kind of hinted at it, Sam Darnold, quarterback out of USC. Now, let me just say it firsthand about Sam Darnold. He is going to be a bit of a project. All right, I don't think he's going to be the Week 1 2018 starter. I'd expect Tyrod Taylor to be that guy, and Hugh Jackson has said as much, although we should not buy into that too much because he literally said that in March. Why should we buy into that? Now, Darnold is going to be a much better fit than Rosen would be for the Cleveland Browns. And don't ask me. Ask Jim Mora here, the former head coach of Josh Rosen, who was on NFL Network recently and said the following, quote, Sam Darnold has that blue-collar, gritty attitude and represents what Cleveland is. So what does that make Rosen, Jim? A white-collar guy with a lot of attitude? Like, it was kind of a weird statement to hear. I know Jim Mora was kind of playing his analyst role there because he was on NFL Network and he was kind of providing a third-party sort of perspective, not trying to buy too much into Josh Rosen as the number 1 quarterback there. But still, like, if you look at the statements, it tells me that Josh Rosen isn't the gritty blue-collar guy. And honestly, I think he's right. But it's funny to hear from Jim Mora. So I think Darnold is going to be going number 1 overall. I've been saying this ever since I started mocking. I don't think I'm going to change it at all. Darnold's got the desired size, the great pocket presence, uses his eyes really well downfield. Plenty of time for Darnold to grow and learn with new offensive coordinator Todd Haley as well. Plus, you got some fantastic pieces on that team. Jarvis Landry, Carlos Hyde, Darren Fells, the list goes on. So considering that Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter, LOL, by the way, there's less pressure, I think, on Darnold, even though he's going number 1 overall. But maybe I'm wrong, and let me know if I'm wrong in the reaction poll here. Who is going to go number 1 to the Cleveland Browns? Give me a heart for Sam Darnold, a like for Josh Rosen, laughing face for Josh Allen, and a wow face for Saquon Barkley. Let me tell you here, this is the beginning of the quarterback run. So let's continue on here and check in with number 2 overall and the New York Giants. This by far is my most tough decision. I have Josh Rosen going to the Giants. So I wonder if this is a good fit according to Jim Moore, by the way. We should hit up Jim Moore and ask him. So I think Rosen is someone who won't be starting in 2018 barring injury either, so not a lot of pressure on him. The Giants have to look ahead to the future, though. And Eli Manning ain't getting any younger. I will say Saquon Barkley at number 2 was so tempting for me, but I couldn't pull the trigger. I think the Giants need a backup plan at quarterback, and it needs to be addressed in this draft. When is there going to be the next time the Giants get a number 2 overall pick like this? The Giants are a respectable organization. They're not going to be picking in the top 5 year in and year out. I think they're going to take steps in the right direction, especially with a new head coach, Pat Shurmur, and Dave Gettleman, I think, is a really good GM. The Giants are doing the right things here. So they have to understand picking at number 2 overall is a unique opportunity for them, and I know Gettleman has said the Giants want to draft a once-in-a-generation kind of talent, a generational kind of player. I'm not so sure Josh Rosen fits that bill, but I think it'd be kind of crazy if the Giants miss out on this guy. Davis Webb, Giants fans, do you have a lot of confidence in him to get it done after the Eli Manning era is over? I don't know. So I could also see Quentin Nelson in maybe a desperation move, considering the Giants lost both Weston Richburg and Justin Pugh to free agency. So with that, Rosen, great arm talent. My main knock on him is the leadership. How does he fit in with that GM, Dave Gettleman, and what he visualizes for Eli Manning's successor? That's the big-time question mark for me. Are concerns with Rosen's attitude fair or not? And will they cause him to drop below Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield? Those are the big-time question marks that you all should kind of ponder here. My answer for now is no. I don't think the attitude issues or the leadership problems are going to make him drop, but we'll see. Rosen going number 2 to the Giants. Let's go to number 3 overall. From one New York team to another, we've got the New York Jets. They will select Josh Allen, quarterback out of Wyoming. So there is a reason why there's an asterisk there next to the Jets, because, of course, they traded up to get to this point with the Indianapolis Colts. There's also a reason why the Jets did this, because they want a quarterback, and they know there's going to be a quarterback slide here, and slide in the sense of kind of like a run of quarterbacks being drafted, not necessarily like quarterbacks are sliding down the board. And so the Giants, or the Jets that is, have to figure out an opportunity here to get their guy. And I think Josh Allen really fits here. So similar situation with the Giants and the Browns. I don't think there's any pressure on Josh Allen to be the starting quarterback in Week 1, because the Jets have Josh McCown and Teddy Bridgewater, likely to be bridge quarterbacks of some kind. Definitely Josh McCown. Teddy Bridgewater, I don't know what's going to happen with him. We'll see. You got offensive coordinator Jeremy Bates, a guy I like a lot. He's done a fantastic job with quarterback prospects in the past. I think he'll groom Josh Allen really well. Jeremy Bates turned Jay Cutler into a Pro Bowl quarterback in 2008. So if Jeremy Bates can do that, I think he can do anything. What I'm saying is Jeremy Bates is a miracle worker. So Josh Allen, I think, will go to the Jets. Big armed quarterback. The more tape I watch on this kid, the more impressed I am. So I think he's going to go number 3 overall. He will go to the New York Jets. Let's go to number 4 here. We've got the Cleveland Browns, courtesy of the Houston Texans. And the Cleveland Browns will select Saquon Barkley, running back out of PSU here. And thanks to this quarterback run, I think Saquon drops to number 4. And the Browns get their franchise running back. The draft could not have gone any better for the Cleveland Browns. You get Sam Darnold at 1, who doesn't need to be the starter in Week 1. You get a Week 1 starter running back at number 4 with Saquon Barkley. So Isaiah Crowell, he's off to the Jets. I think the opportunity is there for Saquon to make an immediate impact. I still think there's a role for Duke Johnson, by the way, but I think Todd Haley is going to have a lot of fun with the new pieces on offense here. We're talking about Jarvis Landry, perhaps a Saquon Barkley. And then you have, I say new because it kind of is new, Josh Gordon, because we haven't seen much of him. And then you got Corey Coleman as well. So a lot of fun pieces on that offense for the Cleveland Browns. I'm saying this. I think Cleveland has a very real chance to be a part of the postseason conversation. I think they have a very real chance to finish ahead of the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC North and finish third, the way in which the Browns have done with John Dorsey at the GM position there and really turning the franchise on its head and making some big-time changes. So Barkley is getting LT kind of comparisons. I'm not sure if I'm ready to buy into that, but I will say the offensive line is there for him to perform. You got Joel Bitonio, J.C. Tretter, Kevin Zeitler at guard, some pretty good offensive linemen there. So Saquon goes number 4 overall. By the way, swinging for Saquon, that is a phrase that I have coined. Spread it around, make it happen. Kind of like Gretchen Wiener made fetch happen in Mean Girls. Swinging for Saquon, make that happen. Make this happen as well. Baker Mayfield going to the Denver Broncos at number 5 overall. Let me say this. I think he is the best quarterback in the draft. I think he is the most polished. I think he has the best opportunity to start week 1 in 2018 if he somehow beats out Case Keenum, which I think is certainly in the realm of possibility. So you want to talk about gritty and blue collar. I think Baker Mayfield fits that bill. He's a gritty guy, has a great competitiveness to him. Here's a recent John Elway statement on Mayfield. Quote, "But watching his pro day, it was much of what we saw during the season. He's a very accurate passer. For a smaller guy, he can throw the football a long way. He can make every throw that you ask quarterbacks to make in this league. So it was very exciting to watch him perform." Call me crazy, but I think John Elway is going to fall in love with Baker Mayfield. And I think he already has. And that's why I have Baker Mayfield going to the Denver Broncos here. Again, I could see Quentin Nelson going number 5. The Broncos have a need at the guard position. They got to improve their run blocking ability. But the tall, big-armed quarterback thing just has not worked for Denver. And I'm talking about Brock Osweiler and Paxton Lynch. So it's time for John Elway to understand maybe we should head in a different direction here. And I'm sure he'll be tempted to draft Josh Allen if he is on the board, by the way. But Baker Mayfield I have going to the Denver Broncos there, number 5. Let's go to a number 6 now, and it's the Indianapolis Colts. So thanks to this quarterback run, if you will, the Colts can trade back, get a ton of draft capital, and oh yeah, get this guy, Bradley Chubb, defensive end out of NC State, perhaps the best defensive player in the draft. So Chubb, I think, has exceptional explosiveness, will be quite the disruptor on that defensive line, and the Colts have really struggled to get to opposing quarterbacks. I think Chubb will help a lot in that department. Despite adding Danico Autry, I think the Colts really need to address that front 7. So far this offseason, they really haven't done all that much. Could see maybe Quentin Nelson again here with the Colts because they have some needs at guard. They did re-sign Jack Mewhort, which I think is important. But letting Chubb to drop to the Buccaneers, I think, would be a little insane. I think the Colts have to get him if Chubb is there at number 6 overall, because you know the Bucs are going to gobble him up at number 7 if Bradley does indeed drop that far. But I'm telling you, 6 overall. I mean, you can ask any draft expert out there. I think they would say that'd be a steal for Bradley Chubb. All right, let's get to number 7, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So with Chubb off the board, that means they get this guy, Quentin Nelson, guard out of Notre Dame. I love this fit. It makes a lot of sense. Nelson has minimal weaknesses, getting glowing reviews from everybody out there. His run blocking is fantastic. He eats up defenders in pass protection as well. The Bucs did re-sign Evan Smith, and he ranked 29th among guards according to Pro Football Focus, so not great, but not awful. They also have Ryan Jensen at the center position, so somewhat addressing that interior of the offensive line there. And I think Ryan Jensen is a good center as well. But I think Nelson could supplant J.R. Sweezy easily Easily. Sweezy stinks. He had an awful year in 2017. I think Nelson's going to come in and really make an immediate impact for Tampa Bay. Oh, by the way, a team that needs to protect its franchise quarterback in Jameis Winston, coming off a season where he dealt with an AC joint injury there. So Quentin Nelson going number 7 to the Bucs. Let's go to number 8 now. We've got the Chicago Bears selecting. So the good news for them in this post-free agency era is that they don't have to reach for Calvin Ridley or any wide receiver. So they can address the front 7, which I think is a need for them. Tremayne Edmonds, linebacker out of Virginia Tech. The good news here is that with the whole quarterback run that's going on, you can find some really good defenders in the bottom of this top 10 here. So, like I said, need on that front 7. You look at the general manager, Ryan Pace, and his history. He craves athletic traits, and he wants athletic specimens out there on the football field. Trubisky, Leonard Floyd, Kevin White were all touted as these great athletes. Edmonds, 6'5", 250. The Bears can play him inside and as maybe an outside linebacker in a 3-4. You could try him out in a Leo kind of situation. I think you could really experiment with Tremayne Edmonds. And I think that's what really brings the fun out of this pick here, because you could put him in so many different spots, and I think he could be an effective linebacker in some different areas. And by the way, this guy still can't legally drink. He's 19 years old, so plenty of room to grow here, and he's only just getting started. He's a little raw. It's going to take some polishing, of course. I mean, that comes with the territory of being in your teens still at 19. So there you go. Tremayne Edmonds going to the Chicago Bears. Let's go to number 9, San Francisco 49ers. They will select Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think the Niners get their playmaker here. Fitzpatrick fits the bill. Play him at slot corner, outside corner, even at safety. He's a hybrid player built for the modern NFL in my eyes. And you talk about how you could experiment with Tremayne Edmonds a little bit. You could experiment with Minkah Fitzpatrick in that secondary. Now, the 49ers have a pretty darn good secondary as we stand, with Ahkello Witherspoon and Richard Sherman and Adrian Colbert at safety, K'Wan Williams at slot corner as well. But do you pass on Minkah at number 9 if you are indeed drafting at number 9? And I say that because I do think there's a real scenario here where the 49ers actually trade back. Because if Quentin Nelson is not there at number 9, which is what I am projecting here, Minkah Fitzpatrick's a great player and a fantastic talent, but the secondary isn't the biggest need anymore, especially with the addition of Richard Sherman. So in that vein, I could see a scenario where San Francisco trades back from number 9 there. All right, but for now, I'm not projecting trades or anything like that, so I do have Minkah going to San Francisco. So just real quick, if the 49ers do trade back, keep an eye on Connor Williams or Isaiah Wynn to fill in that need at guard. All right, let's go to number 10 now, the Oakland Raiders. Who will they select at number 10 overall? I've been sticking with this guy, I want to say, for all of my mock drafts to this point. Roquan Smith, linebacker out of Georgia. I will keep him here until I hear news about Navarro Bowman, because I have no idea what's going on with him and the Raiders. So they could use some help at inside linebacker. I know they have Tahir Whitehead coming on over from Detroit, ranked 25th among linebackers according to Pro Football Focus a year ago. But I still think Roquan is a special talent in the sense of pass coverage. He can do a fantastic job running the routes with opposing running backs. And I think he's an athletic guy that really has a fantastic football IQ. And perhaps somewhat of a leader in that linebacking core there for the Oakland Raiders. Maybe not immediately, but at some point. So Oakland, they get Roquan Smith. We'll see if that changes going down the line there in my mock draft. Of course, I will have a full-on mock draft in April, so don't you guys worry, right here on the Cam Rogers Show. But if you missed my picks, here's a summary. So, Sam Darnold to Cleveland. Then we got Josh Rosen to the Giants. Josh Allen to the Jets. Saquon Barkley to the Browns. Baker Mayfield going on over to the Denver Broncos. So then 6 through 10, Bradley Chubb. Then we got Quentin Nelson. Tremayne Edmonds heading to the Chicago Bears. Minkah Fitzpatrick to the San Francisco 49ers. And Roquan Smith becoming a member of the Oakland Raiders. So there you go, a little top 10 mock draft action here on this Wednesday edition of the Cam Rogers Show. I am Cam Rogers, and we are alongside Harris Rubenstein. It is only fitting when we have new graphics that you are on this show today.
You know what? I'm honored to be here. I was on one of the, I believe, I was on the second Cam Rogers show.
Were.
And now we've done the redesign. I'm back. But Cam, it's baseball season.
It is.
It's baseball season. Don't let anyone tell you differently. It is baseball season.
Opening day tomorrow.
Yes, opening day tomorrow. The first time in Major League history that every single team in Major League Baseball will be playing on one day. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
And you also opened up your crystal ball. Let's take a look
Yes,
at some
I
of
did.
your season predictions here. We'll start things off in the AL East here, Harris. You've got the Yankees finishing off in first. This must hurt you as a Red Sox fan.
It does, but it also doesn't, because I think the Yankees, in terms of their overall offense, is probably going to be what ends up pushing them over the edge. But you also have to kind of be wary, because they're going to be one of the most average defensive teams in baseball. Their infield and their outfield in terms of defense is going to be a real problem for them. Their pitching, and especially their bullpen, is going to be just absolutely nuts. But look, when you have Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gary Sanchez in a lineup, you're going to dominate. And I think this team is going to win a lot of games. They're going to totally bash their winning total from last year of only 91 wins. I think they're going to end up with somewhere close to maybe 96 or 97. If they get hot in the middle of summer camp, this could be a 100-win baseball team. But I will say this. They need to win their games in division, and I think they're going to struggle against teams like Toronto and the Orioles. We'll see. I think the Orioles are going to be a little bit better than people think, but watch out for the Red Sox also. If David Price has a comeback season as a starting pitcher, if that bullpen can get their act together, it's going to be a really, really close finish in the AL East this year.
How many teams out of this division make the playoffs?
I still think it's two. I think the Red Sox and the Yankees are going to – I think the Yankees are going to win the division. I think the Red Sox will be the #1 wild card team, just due to the fact of the offense. Their defense is going to be one of the top 10 in the MLB, and they have Chris Sale.
Yeah.
Chris Sale probably should have won the Cy Young Award last year. He's probably going to win it this year. And David Price, remember, if we have Cy Young David Price this year for the Red Sox, then you're going to see two Cy Young Award candidates at the top of a rotation, which very few teams in the MLB can actually match.
All right, let's go to the AL Central here.
Yep.
You've got the Indians in first, then the Twins, the Royals, the White Sox, and the Tigers.
I want to make one thing very clear. Every single year you'll make predictions about a division, and every single year there's one division that goes just nowhere near how you expected it to. I think this is going to be it. I think the Indians are going to be really, really good. A lot of it depends on how well Jose Ramirez will hit again this season. He was great last year. They brought in Yonder Alonso, who's been part of the whole fly ball revolution. He really upped his game last year, but I'm a little iffy on their overall starting pitching. I really like what the Twins are bringing to the table this year. Byron Buxton can, again, get a little bit more consistent with his bat. They had a lot of really good starting pitching, highlighted by Jake Odorizzi. I think they have a lot of tools on this team to really make a run at it. They're my other AL wildcard team, but I really think the Twins could win the division if it ends up coming down to it.
All right, so there you go. AL Central there with the Indians projected to finish in first place. Let's go into the AL West now. So we've got the Astros, then the Angels, then the Mariners, the Rangers finishing fourth, and the Athletics at 5. Somebody in the comments section said the Astros are repeating, Harris.
I think they definitely could. I mean, they already had a great starting pitching rotation. Now they get Justin Verlander for a full season. They add Garrett Cole from the Pittsburgh Pirates, who was one of the best pitchers in the NL. He had a little bit of a down year last year, but when he's on his game, he's fantastic. And I don't think you're going to find a better lineup in baseball. I'm sorry,
Agreed.
Yankees fans. You're not going to find a better lineup in baseball than what the Astros bring. They're consistent. They have power. They have contact. They have speed. They have situational hitting. This is such a smart baseball team, and it's also so well built. I think this is the best team in baseball right now. They're #1 on my overall power rankings that you'll see later in the day here on Chat Sports again. But this Astros team is going to be fun. Watch out for the Angels, though. If Shohei Ohtani ends up being what people think he is, they could end up being pretty good. And also, they have the best player of the decade in Mike Trout. So you can never count out the Angels.
Okay. Let's go to the NL side of things, the NL East, and we've got the Nationals winning first, but does that even matter?
Well, no, it's because you have we've made this comparison in the Chat Sports office. The Washington Nationals are the Toronto Raptors of the NBA, but the Washington Nationals have just been doing it longer. Every single year they get to the postseason, hyped up, Bryce Harper, Daniel Murphy, like these fantastic teams, Strasburg, Max Scherzer, and they just completely fold in the playoffs and they can't win rounds. So it doesn't really matter, but I will say this. They have to win a round in the playoffs this year. I think they have to win the entire World Series if they want a chance to keep Bryce Harper. If they don't win the World Series, Bryce Harper's going to the Cubs or the Yankees. That's how it's going to go. They have to win the World Series this year. It's been way too many years with Bryce Harper. He's not interested in going out in the first round anymore. He wants to win championships.
Okay. All right, so there you go. You got the Nationals in first place there in the NL East. Let's go to the NL Central here, Harris. You've got the Cubs finishing first, followed by the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Reds. Cardinals at third. Wow.
Another team, another division that I think could just go completely off the chain if certain things happen. I think the Brewers are coming into this season with a really, really good team. Their offense should be really good. And if Ryan Braun does anything better than he did last year, this is going to be one of the best offenses in baseball. I think they'll add a starting pitcher at the trade deadline when they ended up needing one. They don't really have an ace right now, but they're catching up to the Cubs, who they had a weird year last year. They could never really get their lineup figured out. The starting rotation was all over the place, but now they come into this year with a solid 1, 2, and 3 in their starting rotation. Their entire lineup is just absolutely ridiculous. They have Albert Amora taking over in center field full time, and now we're faced with a slimmed down, not big old fat Kyle Schwarber. Now we have muscular and in shape Kyle Schwarber, who apparently has been ripping the cover off the ball in practice and in spring training. I'm really, really excited to see what Schwarber brings to the table this year, because I will say this, if he has another down year, he's getting traded. He's going to get traded to a team that in the American League that'll use him as a DH. This is his last chance with the Cubs to really make an impact.
All right, so that's a look at the NL Central. Let's check in with the NL West now. We've got the Dodgers in first, then the D-backs, the Rockies, the Giants, and the Padres. Poor Padres.
Yeah, poor Padres. They did sign Eric Hosmer to one of the worst deals in all of Major League Baseball. I will never understand why the Padres made that deal, but look, if you're a baseball fan and you're looking for what is my can't-miss thing of the season, your can't-miss thing of this season is every single Clayton Kershaw start. Every single one. Because he is going to put up one of the best pitching seasons in the history of baseball this year, and I wholeheartedly believe in that. He's had 6 starts so far in spring training. Guess how many runs he's given up? What do you got? 0.
Ooh.
0 runs given up in 21 total innings so far for Clayton Kershaw. He has been absolutely ridiculous. He just turned 30 years old. He's going to win the NL Cy Young this year, and he's back with a vengeance. He missed a lot of starts last year. This is the season for Clayton Kershaw where we legitimately start talking about whether or not he's the best pitcher of all time. He is an unbelievable specimen. He is the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. He's going to have an amazing year this year. I'm a little bit worried about the Dodgers' starting lineup, though. I'm worried if it doesn't have enough offense. It has Bellinger, it has Seager. Justin Turner's going to miss all of April. And then it has Puig. I'm a little worried that Jock Peterson's going to strike out too much. And then after that, it gets a little shaky. So we'll see how their overall starting lineup comes out. But they're going to be led by Clayton Kershaw. If Clayton Kershaw has a full healthy season, he might have a sub-2 ERA with over 250 strikeouts in 200 innings. It's going to be one of the best seasons we've ever seen.
One of the great days in sports, Harris, is opening day. So many thanks to you for coming along here on the Cam Rogers Show. Harris, of course, will have the MLB Power Rankings special today. And that's when he'll look ahead to the upcoming season for all the teams out there. He'll project the standings, etc., etc. So certainly excited for that show. That's right here on Chat Sports this afternoon. So stay tuned for that. All right, folks, we got about a minute left of the Cam Rogers Show. I want to let you know how you can follow me. If you're just a newcomer onto the program, well, I got all the information you need. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. You can get the podcast version of the Cam Rogers Show for iTunes users. Go on to chatsports.com/Cam Show. That's how you can download the podcast. It's a video podcast, but you can, of course, listen to it if you want to just click off your phone and, put your earbuds in. You're totally fine doing that. Leave a review. We do appreciate it. 5-star review would be preferred, but, you can leave 4 if you're a critic. Subscribe to the Chat Sports YouTube channel as well for the latest NFL rumors, headlines, NBA highlights, college football analysis, and so much more. I am Cam Rogers. We thank you for tuning in to this program. I'll see you back here Friday morning. Take care.